Hello there, it's DTO. Welcome to my podcast where I interview visionaries, healers, and leaders in the world of so many different modalities that can allow us to grow in our mind, body, and spirit. And this series that I've been showcasing recently is all about the Sun Valley Joy Summit that's happening in Idaho in June. And today I get to interview the amazing Susan Aiken. How are you today?
Good, thank you. Happy to be here.
Wonderful. Thanks for being here and looking forward for me and the listeners to learn more about who you are and what your zone of geniuses are. So let's kick it off. This is a 5 question interview. So, question number one, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you'll be sharing at the Sun Valley Joy Summit.
Okay. So I am a marriage and family licensed therapist in California and a coach here in Idaho. I have a modality that I particularly like to use, which is IFS, Internal Family Systems, which is parts work. And I have been in practice since 1989, a long time. I am very dedicated to depth work and digging deep. I really like the deep work in psychology and in counseling. What I'm presenting at the summit is generational joy, and that really, well, Hillary and I together came up with that, and really like the idea of that. That there's a lot of joy to be had in the generations, our generational history and ancestry, and how do we get to that? How do we understand that? How do we cherish that? How do we live with that?
Wonderful. I love that because there's so many parts and pieces to when we were born and raised. And as I share with you, I'm from the Midwest, I'm from Iowa, and my upbringing's different than other people's, and then my great great grandparents, and all these different, perspectives, because there's more going on than just inside us. Of course, it's always an inside job of what's going on. You talk about the
Yes,
depth
yes.
of the work and everything, but what's going on when there's World War II going on, and what's going on when there's a cultural shift of awareness and consciousness, right? So there's all these generational ways of showing. I'm Generation X. I was born in the 70s, and so there's all these parts and pieces. And the fun thing, Susan, I used to be a high school teacher, so then me attempting to relate, or the kids relating to me, that was like, okay, let's bridge that. Let's bring joy into the pleasure of our generational, separations that happen. So I love that.
Love it.
All right. So question number two is, what inspired you to create a workshop on generational joy, and why do you think it's an important topic?
I think it's an incredibly important topic, especially now. We're living in an era where the catchphrase generational trauma is circulating and being looked at and talked about a lot. I think it's good. I think it's good to look at the impact of the generations of family that we carry around inside of us, our parents, our grandparents, their parents, et cetera, et cetera. We're really walking around with a lot of people inside of us. And it's good to look and see how their behavior, particularly our parents' behavior toward us, impacted us. And it's good to look at it with an understanding that we have to let go of some things, that we have to unburden some things, some beliefs, some things that were created through their parenting and their ways of dealing with us and working with us as children. We were most vulnerable. Beliefs that we have about ourselves, burdens that we are carrying about ourselves that, can be released so that we can get back to the natural state of joy that I believe all people have access to inside, but gets clouded over. Um, so this is important to talk about it in terms of trauma versus joy and how to how to work with yourself and your own generations so that you can move into a freer state, what I call freer state of joy and compassion for them and for you. And yeah, I think it's a really important topic and part of what the work I do.
Mm, fantastic. All right. Question three. You talk about discovering both known and hidden joys in our lineage. What are some examples of how reframing our family history can bring joy and understanding?
Yes, I think that's the main goal of the workshop right there. And this is really a personal story, a personal journey for me. So I will be sharing some of that. It took me a long time until I was in my 50s, I think, to really had this incredible experience of beginning to see the things that I complained about and wasn't happy about with the ways that I was raised and my parents before I began all of a sudden to see beyond that to what it did for me and how it helped me. And that was a very joyful, enlightening experience to begin to see that and begin to be free to love them, because I did anyway, and free to love myself and how I transformed from that and because of them, both in positive ways and unburdened ways. Some things I let go of, some things I held on to, but just a way of seeing it more, I would say, transpersonal, from a bigger place, a bigger picture, a bigger understanding of how particularly my mom was with me and how magical it was to then look at it through the lens of, oh my gosh, if she hadn't been that way, I never would have survived this, or I wouldn't have done that, or I wouldn't have. So it's a gratitude and appreciation, which is something that often gets bypassed when we're doing therapy and working on understanding our issues and our difficulties.
Yes. Gratitude as an attitude.
Yeah.
So important. All right. Question four. What kind of exercises or reflections will participants experience to support them uncovering the gold in these family memories and stories?
Yeah, I'm really looking to create exercises that are transformative in terms of looking at people in your family. The participants come in. I'll be having them do some reflection, some writing, some sharing about maybe a particular person and looking to see if they can find a lens to look at them through, similar to what happened to me. Inviting them into a different space, looking at their parents, but also sharing, because that's the really fun part, sort of the joyful things that are already there that we hold and take and love. It's like when you told me a little bit about yourself and you said music was a big part of the family. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
a really joyful thing. And I want people to be able to also share the positives, the wonderful things that have come down through their families that are unique. Um, and ironically, my mother's name was Joy. My grandmother's name was Joy. My sister's name was Joy. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of joy that comes into my life from joy.
Oh, I love that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's written in the stars.
yeah. Yeah,
Fantastic.
I'm hoping to have a transformative experience for people in the workshop. So it's not just me talking about it, but rather having an experience of reflection, writing,
Mm,
sharing, so that it will be experiential, um, as well as, talking about the concept of generational joy.
mhm. Yeah, it's so important to reflect and recognize, like, oh, okay, well, who is it in my family that I love what you were sharing earlier about reframing. Right? I'm in
Yeah,
the men's group right now. One of the examples, like reframing that relationship I have with my father and
yeah,
being at peace with my father taught me what to do. And sometimes he showed me what not to do, the way
yes,
he
yes,
was behaving, right? And the way he showed up. And
yeah,
that gratitude as an attitude piece has been really powerful for me, because then I get to, have these breakdowns of like, why am I the victim and why this happened to me? And then all of a sudden it'll be like, oh, I get it. Now I had a breakthrough, like
Yeah,
lights came on, aha, where,
yeah,
ooh, now I have the tools in my life and I have
yeah,
the knowledge, because intelligence is intelligence, right? I'm sure you have
right.
multiple degrees. I have a master's degree, but
Yeah,
the experience of being in relationships,
yeah,
like, and
yeah,
a fun thing I've done before is reframe that I chose my parents. So then I am 100% responsible for the
yeah.
experiences I had, opposed to like, why did this happen to me kind of thing. So
Yeah, it's a great
empowering.
gateway, isn't it? It's a trailhead, what we call trailhead in IFS. It's like, oh, I chose my parents, so I must have needed what they had to offer,
Mm,
given where they were in their lives and what they went through. And that is an invitation to move off the victim, rescuer, perpetrator triangle and into
yes.
a place of self. I'm okay, I'm here. And yeah, reframing is wonderful, especially getting out of the victim mode, feeling burdened and sad and sorry and, oh, done to, and all of those things that we feel when we're in that role.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a joyful place. So being able to release that and unburden is so important. In IFS, we have a thing called IFS Internal Family Systems Therapy modality. There's a thing called legacy burdens. And there's actually protocols that I just love to use with people, of having them recognize the burden that they're carrying and who it comes from in visualization and in, kind of almost a ceremony,
Mm-hmm.
and calling them in, and having a confrontation or a meeting where, the client has an opportunity to give back the burden that was given to them, to that person directly. And most of the time, majority of the time, the person that's being called in is so happy to take the burden back, and
Yeah.
that actually helping them also evolve and move on, and not be stuck with what we're holding the negative about them, but to release. Yeah, and that's part of what I see as a generational joy, that we're actually doing the work of generations. As we heal, as we bring compassion, as we bring curiosity, openness, as we realize, what we're carrying and whether or not it serves us, or it's core to our essence, or it's really part of us, or is it part of the generations?
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah. And also, I love that recognition that I've had recently, where we are in a generation right now and we get to pay it forward. And as I share with you, I was a teacher, once a teacher, always a teacher. And so
Yeah,
the, and I live at a beautiful wellness and retreat center in Costa Rica. I've actually had a former student of mine that was inspired by who I was as a Spanish teacher, but then got into my music, started practicing yoga because I make yoga music. So she connected the dots. And before a student was like going to take a quiz or while they were studying, I play like my relaxing music. And just like behind you and behind me, I actually sometimes brought my piano in class and be like, hey, I'll play some live piano and just set some good positive energy. And so that former student came and
mhm.
participated. And the excursions, I'm a tour guide. We took her to this waterfall and it felt like generational healing took place. It just cleansed her. She's
Yeah,
like her parents had never ever traveled internationally. Her grandparents never. I mean, the only time they internationally traveled was probably Ellis Island back in the day.
yeah,
So it was like
yeah.
she had this awakening in that moment. She's just like, it's extraordinary. And I felt like if she does choose to have kids in her lifetime, she'll just have this joy that came about by being in nature and being connected and having a cool teacher that like guided in the ways that you can't
Yes,
teach in textbooks. It's
it's
like
fantastic.
like experiential learning is the best way.
Well,
And
also the experience I had with my mother was really transpersonal. I describe it as I walked into a room in my inner house that I wasn't aware was there. And when I walked into it, because I wanted to write her a letter as she was passing from cancer, I just the walking in that room, there was a whole new view, and I began to write, really sort of channeling from my soul the things that I knew that she had given to me that I hadn't really considered and how they helped me. Um, and how in contrast to the complaints that I had,
Hmm.
about not enough affection and not enough connection and not
Yeah,
enough, and,
sure.
that,
All the
that
love languages.
yeah,
Not enough gifts, not
exactly.
enough quality
Yeah,
time. Yeah, it's like, okay.
yeah. And I was able to read that out loud to her. It was so sweet. Uh,
Mm,
and she put that in, we have a family Bible. I found that letter in the family Bible so I know it meant a lot to her. And,
hmm.
and I felt so clean,
Mm.
because I can just be free to just love her completely, love her up. Um,
Uh,
and yeah, that's the important piece right there.
hmm. Oh, so fantastic. Yeah, and before we get into question 5, I want to make sure that Hillary Anderson gets the proper acknowledgement for putting
Yeah.
together such a beautiful experience where people can come together, where people like yourself, Susan, are able to share and different workshops. And so you will be guiding your experience from 3:30 to 5:30. And you are on Thursday, June 12th. Of course, there's Katie Rogers, Sean Phillips, yourself, and then Nessa, who's a part of my marketing agency that will be playing my DTO music while she has a beautiful Joy Self dance experience. And wow, it's just such a beautiful experience to know of the powerful facilitators. And so, for anyone that is interested in attending the Sun Valley Joy Summit, the joy of being you. My favorite parts here is the summer camp vibe for the mind, body, and soul, right?
I love that too.
And
Yeah,
how many places in the world can you go to where the number one intention and energy field is joy?
I know. Well, the first time I went to this conference 2 years ago, all I kept saying was, "Who are these people? Who are?"
Mm-hmm.
They've just come from California to Idaho, and I thought, "This is amazing. This is one of the best things I've ever attended anywhere."
Mm,
So,
so lovely.
yeah.
So my question 5 would be, where can people connect with you and continue their journey? So let's share with them your website. So it's the Tao of So. You can see that at the top, and seeing that you are a marriage and family therapy and relationship coach. So do you have a preferred means of communication? If they go to your website, can they fill out a contact page? How would you
Um,
like that? Oh, I
yeah,
see right here. There you go.
yes, I believe there is a contact page there
Excellent.
and phone number, and that's a great way to contact me.
Wonderful.
Um, and I see clients in California, still have a clientele in California that I see in Zoom and then here in person and catch them. I see it 1 day a week. People that want to, work on these concepts and these uh, freeing themselves up.
Mhm. Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, it's been such a pleasure to be in connection. And again, people that are watching this now, if you want to take Susan's workshop, as well as so many other phenomenal leaders, teachers, instructors, people that are here to guide you into a presence of joy. That is June 11th, Wednesday to Sunday, June 15th. And buy your tickets, you go to sunvalleyjoysummit.com. And thank you again, Susan. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
So much fun
Thank
to be in
you.
connection
Yeah,
and learn
appreciate
more
you.
about you. Yeah, appreciate you as well. All right. Thank you and
Thank
make it a
you.
great day, everyone.